Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another edition of Adesope Live, the Afrobeats podcast, where I break down the top headlines in the African popular culture over the last 7 days. I give my opinions on what's been going on, produced by my brother right here, Manny Ade, LM Media, and of course a massive shout outs to my brother AfroSyn TV for the support, and you, the listeners out there, for now starting to make this a regular occurrence and supporting us on all platforms. You can go out there and get it: YouTube, Soundcloud, Apple, and Spotify, and subscribe. That's the most important thing. So yeah, Manny, how you doing, my brother? We were together yesterday at the Beat Family get together.
Yeah.
Have you recovered from that?
You understand, man. I had a good night's sleep and rest, and I'm ready to work once again.
All right then, let's get into this headlines this week. Let's know what's happening. What's happening? What are we touching first? Or are you going to run through a couple of the headlines and then start?
Let's go through a few of the headlines.
Okay.
And we'll get into it. So we got Davido going viral.
Okay.
We got Burna Boy tweeted.
Yep.
The Meat Hawker video.
Okay. Yeah.
We got South Africa again. It's due for Ama Piano.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That genre.
Yep.
And then this one is interesting. Now I can't wait to get into this one. But the UK rap beef between Chip and Stormy. So
Chip is looking interesting, man. So where are we starting from?
Alright, cool. So let's start with our very own Nigel Boy Davido.
Yep.
So Nigerian star Davido goes on an interview in Lagos with the popular broadcaster Ebuka,
Yep.
where he suggests it isn't all well between him and Burna, and seeing both Burna and Wizkid hanging out in London might be out of spite. So what's your thoughts?
I was surprised when I saw the interview with Davido. One of the things I enjoy about Davido as an artist is he's extremely confident and he speaks his mind. So regardless of how controversial the topic is, if you put a microphone before Davido and you ask him specific questions, he will give you exactly how he feels. And that's what happened in this video. So Ebuka is one of the most popular broadcasters in Nigeria, the host of the just rounded up Big Brother Nigeria. And I think he has a podcast that he's doing in Nigeria where he invited Davido to come on, and he put the question to David, a series of questions which included why hasn't him and Wizkid worked, or what's going on between him and Burna Boy, the record fam, was it at Burna, what the lyrics was. And David, said some of those things which were that he felt the friendship between Burna Boy and Wizkid right now in the UK is almost out of spite to him. And that he was surprised that there's a little bit of a friction between him and Burna Boy, because he felt that him, Burna, and Wiz are three biggest artists in Nigeria, which I felt he could have used certain different words in. Three of the biggest artists in Nigeria would have been better, because some of the other guys and girls, your other Wasabi, Shemi Alades, the Flavors, the Adekule, all of these guys, a lot of people might get Olamide Bado. Some of these guys might feel like, oh man, you're trying to tell me I ain't, I'm not one of the big cats. So I think he could have used a different word in there. But apart from that, the most important story was the fact that he confirmed that there was beef between him and Burna Boy, which had been simmering on social media for quite some time. For me, I think looking at that story, he also mentioned the fact that someone in Burna Boy's camp had reached out to him and let him know that Burna wasn't happy with his post of him and Wizkid being the two biggest in the game, which he had posted a couple of months ago. I'll be honest with you, personally, but I'm not privy to the inside talk between Burna and Wiz and their camps. But I think the Burna and Wiz kind of friendship and hanging out here in London really is just about two top Nigerian musicians who love music, respect each other's art, are in the same city during this lockdown, and they're just linking up. Regardless of whether there's beef between David and Burna and Wiz, if David was in London over this last 3 weeks to 1 month, a month and a half, I guarantee you he would have been in those sessions too. Guaranteed. Because it's a situation where they are three of the most powerful musicians, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa. So it only makes sense that you guys hang around each other. What I didn't like is the fact that David personally feels that, you know, that this hookup, you know, is some form of kind of like attack to him. I don't like that because, you know, I know how much love David has for Burna. Facts. Like I remember, you know, having conversations with Burna Boy with Davido about Burna Boy in the past, and I know how much love he has, and I know how much love and respect he has for Wizkid too. He also went forward to say, you know, he's wanted to record a record with Wizkid in the past, but for some reason, just never happened. They tried to set up a sit down in Ghana in December, but Starboy wasn't available or whatever it was. As fans, I've clamored for this for years.
What? Like it's crazy.
A Wizkid Davido joint EP, 6-track EP, world tour will shut down any arena in the world. And I'm talking 20,000 capacity arenas. You start from Lagos. Lagos, Accra, South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, you come into London, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam. From Amsterdam, you go to New York, Houston, Atlanta. What are you talking? There's too much money in this game for these guys not to realize that. I understand sometimes working together doesn't work or whatever, but if you look at people like Drake and partnerships that he's had with people like Future out of his camp, where they've done mixtapes back to back, and that's just side pocket money. And then Drake could go and do another project with maybe The Weeknd or whatever it is. Like, those guys know how to really come together and pick up bags where people aren't thinking about it. Look at recently we had a mixtape in the UK that had Chip, I think it was Young Ads and Skepta. About 2 months ago. Those are power forces that came together to pick up the bag on a different side. And I think that's what the Afrobeats artists really need to be doing. The negativity and speaking to each other on records and stuff like that. Well, David explained that that's how he gets his frustrations out. So when it comes to art, you have to allow people that freedom to express themselves. But really and truly, I think these are situations that can be sorted out. And really, and again, my fear with some of the musicians is that there might be a lot of people in the air that's just talking all sorts of stuff that really doesn't exist. And unfortunately, as a musician or a creative or an artist, you are one of the most sensitive human beings ever. Because you go into deep places to bring the art that millions around the world love. So the last thing you want is some evil clip friend or insider that's just whispering into your ear, say, you know what? The way the Wizkid is just looking at Burna Boy, it's like, yo, man's got beef for you, you know. That's all you need.
Just need that one spot.
Because you are sensitive already. You're thinking about too many things. So, you know, for me, I'll put the word out there that whoever it is around these guys, these brothers that have put Nigeria on the map, that have put Africa on the map, these three incredibly talented musicians that make us proud every single day, please think about whatever it is, messages you pass to these guys. Because when it affects them negatively and it sows a seed of negativity and discord in that powerful union, we suffer at the end of the day. You know, we suffer at the end of the day. These guys are incredible. The guys and the girls, listen, they made something out of absolutely nothing. All they deserve is kudos, a lot of love and support, and that we ensure that we don't lead them astray and feed them, you know, negative pills that they don't deserve to hear. That's my take on that.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I agree with everything you said. So moving on a lighter note, we got Burna Boy who tweets out a video of a meat hawker seen in Lagos, Nigeria, singing Burna Boy's song in his own words and trying to sell at the same time. Talk about multitasking.
No, that's amazing. I want people to kind of check that video out now. And you can hear it that, first of all, Burna tweeted that video to say, yo, you know, this gives me so much chills and joy to see, having grown up in Festac and hearing meat hawkers and people around singing different songs of superstars whilst they're trying to creatively promote whatever it is that they're selling. You know, it's one of those feelings that make you realize that, yes, you become a star.
Yeah.
You know, when I posted that video up, what I put underneath it was, this is exactly what Nigerian musicians are to us as people.
Yeah.
They inspire, entertain, educate, and just give us that source of energy when we have none. This is a man on the streets of Lagos, Nigeria, with pieces of meat on his head, trying to get the most attention he can for anybody to come out there and buy whatever they can so he can survive for the next day. And whilst he's making up songs to create awareness, he puts anywhere, and he puts his own word there. And the people that recorded the video, he heard them chuckling in the background and being surprised to hear him. Guess what he did? He stopped, looked at them, waved at them, and kept on going. You know, that's why I love my people. The most resilient, hard-working people in the world, in my opinion, respectfully, are Nigerians. They have been thrown every single adversity under the sun, yet they find the smallest thing to make them happy and to keep on going till the next day. And I think that was a perfect example of that. And I'm sure, you know, the same goosebumps that Burner had, I had it too. Trust me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Shouts to that man. And, big ups to him and big ups to Burner. So moving on, there's a discussion on social media that South African musician gatekeepers and the music gatekeepers must ensure that, you know, the Amapiano sound coming from South Africa is not taken over by our green, white, green people.
You have to understand where their apprehension comes from. This isn't the first sound that South Africa has created that it seemed like Nigerian musicians and creatives have gone into to take to the next level and run away with. We've seen Afro House, we've seen Gum, we've seen loads of that. And unfortunately, because of the number of Nigerians, you know, we come in numbers. Plus, we're extremely loud and boisterous with it. You know, so if you have something that I believe, look at jollof rice, for example. Jollof is from Gambia. It's from the Wolof tribe. That is their thing. All of a sudden, all of a sudden it gets to Nigeria and Ghana. And about 30 years later, we're saying, oh, Nigeria's got the best jollof, Ghana's got the best jollof. And then Gambia just quietly came and said, oh, originally that's our own rice. Nah, you need to tell both guys that y'all need to keep quiet. This is our rice. Do you understand what I mean? And I think that is an example that has to go into the music creation as well. South Africa has blessed Africa and the rest of the world with some of the most amazing sounds that a lot of people do not know today originated from South Africa. Guitar strings, the Kwaito sounds, you know, the gum beats, the Afro house sounds. Now Amapiano. Guess what? Amapiano became popular in Africa, you know, especially in Western Africa when Burna Boy and Wizkid and Casper and Yoves jumped on a song together. And instantly what happens? All the creatives in Nigeria is like, rah, that's a beat. You get me? Everybody flies to South Africa. Those that can, those that can't, go online, study the beats. The producers in Nigeria are just too talented. They just need to hear, see, and they go. But saying all of that, my summations are this. The South African creatives and gatekeepers and musicians within the Amapiano sound and scene must ensure that they scream the loudest. That's the number one rule. You let the world know that it originated from our land. And use every single platform to do that. One of my South African friends, shout outs to DJ Logic Senya, a member of the Afro House crew with Mr. Silk, the incredible Mr. Silk of the Beat London. Logic told me one thing. He said in South Africa, most of the musicians have already tasted what we in Western Africa would deem as mainstream success. Because there is structure in South Africa. People get paid for after their music gets played on radio. They get mainstream, endorsements. The DSPs such as Spotify and whatever are based in South Africa. The international record labels like Sony and Universal, whatever, started from South Africa in recent years. So a lot of them might get all the successes and might be a lot more comfortable than the hungry, angry mob coming from the western side of Africa. The Nigerian musicians that have to fight their way to get heard. Where their music gets played on radio, they don't get paid for it. They got to pay for it. Do you understand what I mean? So those musicians and gatekeepers in South Africa need to ensure that their voice is as loud as possible and make sure that the rest of the world see that this beautiful sound that you've introduced to us has come from here. That's the first one. The second one is that every single artist or creative or producer from Africa and the rest of the world that samples Amapiano must start with, it's an incredible beat, but I took it from the sounds of Amapiano in South Africa. If you haven't heard it, make sure you go and check it out. That's where this beat and kick came from, which means you give credit to where you stole or borrowed from. I wouldn't want to use still, borrowed from, inspired from. That's the right way to do things. I don't know about these people that never want to give credit. I'm every time when I see people, particularly Africans, they don't want to give credit to nobody. There's sometimes we've done it subconsciously through social media or whatever. We just post stuff and you don't give other people credit. But once you're aware of it, always tell people where you got it from. It only empowers those people and it gives you respect too. That's it. One, the people need to shout loudest about it. And number two, the creatives that are inspired by that sound must tell the world where they got it from. That's mine.
Dope. Also staying in South Africa still, the rap superstar Ricky Rick talks about wanting to be on good terms with Mr. Casper.
That for me, that's probably one of the sad stories of rap beef and fallouts in South Africa. Yes, we understand that Casper and AKA had a massive back and forth that even though it wasn't good, it was great for the culture and it kind of uplifted the South African rap scene to the eyes of everybody around Africa and the world. But someone like Ricky Rick is in a great position where he has a relationship with AKA and had a strong relationship with Casper. Somewhere down the line a few years ago, I think it was 2 years ago or something like that, the relationship with Casper fell apart. And at that time, he was even identifying as a family tree member as part of Casper's camp. So to have seen that falling apart with Ricky Rick, I was disappointed about that. And then I hear, in songs where Casper throws shots at Rick Rick, I'm like, wow, how did he get to that? And then it's just radio silence and everybody's busy doing their own thing. I saw interviews in the past, like 2 years ago, where Casper said they'll never make up and whatever. And then to recently see that, message from Rick just shows how important the bond he had with Casper was at that time. And again, how important it is for the successful people within a culture to stick together. You have to, because that's the only way that you elevate the culture to the next level. Like South African hip hop is massive. That's the #1 genre in South Africa. Big. Casper's doing stadiums. If you're not aware, 60, 70,000 stadiums in South Africa.
Now that's
bro, it's mad.
That's
when Jay-Z and Beyonce went to South Africa for the Global Citizen, I think 2 years ago, the same weekend, Casper was selling out his homecoming tour, 70,000 capacity in stadium, in a different stadium, where he had to fly private jet to come and perform at the Global Citizen. He was the last headliner to come out on stage before Jay-Z came out. That tells you how important this man is to South African popular music. So hip hop is huge. However, outside of South Africa, in recent times, they haven't had the successes that the Afro House, Gqom, or the Amapiano scene is starting to have now. The biggest record in the world is Jerusalem. It's got over 150 million views on YouTube or something like that, and still counting. Yet, a lot of the hip hop artists don't know what to do to take that hip hop in South Africa to that next level. And I say one of the things to do is the powerhouses need to come together. That's one. And number two, that's it, collaboration. And number two, they need to find a way to ensure that the hip hop has singing in there. One of the most popular South African hip hop records of the last 5 years was the record with Burna Boy and AKA. So down. Burna Boy gave them the baddest hook in the world. And that's why that record did what it did. So that should have told people like, raw, maybe we need to get hook masters, the Anatis of this world and all of these guys on some crazy hooks and do some verses. So, but the beef hasn't helped them. I'd say it that way. They need to come together a lot more.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Man.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Now let's fly all the way back down to green.
Niger.
So the BMW artist Lil Frost has his contract terminated by a label after domestic violence allegations that surfaced on social media.
Absolutely. About a couple of days ago during the week, some pictures went viral where a video vixen and model had posted images of what seemed to be aftermath of being beaten up by her boyfriend. And that boyfriend turned out to be Lil Frosh, who was signed to DMW under that Davido's label. Initially, he was a member of the 30BG camp, but he had just been assimilated to DMW, I think about a month and a half or whatever ago. Yeah.
Fresh.
So he used to be part of the crew, but they built him up, and then now, they're just about to set him up. And it turned out that, the pictures started going viral, and a lot of influencers were posting the pictures and stuff like that. I saw it as well. Being an advocate against domestic violence anyway, that's the last thing I want to see. And I wanted to, I don't want to be one of those, because it's an artist within our culture, we need to keep quiet. Now, I'm not gonna, as long as it's been proven, and I didn't really mention his name, but at the time I put it up and said, yo, this is not acceptable. And somebody has to pay for it. Not quite 10 minutes after I posted that picture, Davido camp, the DMW camp had run their own internal investigation and come to the conclusion that Lil Frosh was culpable in this instance, and they terminated his recording contract on the spot. That's how people make decisions, particularly when it comes to such offenses as murder, rape, domestic violence, sexual assault. Those are crimes that you're not getting away from. These are life-ruining crimes that affect not only the individual, person, but also a number of people around them. And I think in Africa, particularly Nigeria, people have gotten away with domestic abuse for decades. And now the younger generation are the ones that are going to stand up and say, whatever it is our mothers and sisters witnessed and suffered, we're not going to allow that no more. And no man can call himself a man when he lifts his finger against a woman. No man. So big shout outs to Davido and the team for making a decisive decision on that. But I also want to stress that Lil Frosh, I think, is a 19, 20, 21-year-old young man. He's in his early 20s, I believe, who, in no doubt, has made a catastrophic error in thinking that domestic abuse was okay. But I am of the opinion that no young man or woman must be thrown away when they commit crimes that they can be rehabilitated from. So rather than us cut him off, bury him, send him to the dungeon, make sure, yes, let him pay, consequences. He has to face the music. However, at the end of his justice, we need to make sure that we also take as much time to rehabilitate this brother and ensure that he comes to the conclusion that what he did was wrong and there's no place in this world for that. And he can also share that message with other people around the world that no to domestic abuse, no to violence against women, no. And that way, we will not only be ridding the society of people that are committing crimes, but we'll also be empowering the society with people that are now aware. So I hope that people grab a hold of the brother after justice has been served and ensure that he is rehabilitated. Also, the young lady needs attention. Domestic abuse is not a physical abuse alone. The mental implications of domestic abuse goes on for years and decades, if not addressed at its roots, at its core, with therapy and support and counseling and just love. So the young lady needs a lot of that at this moment to ensure that she, because apparently she's been in the relationship for some time and this has happened a number of times. This is not the first time. So the fact that she thought it was okay to stay in the first place means that we need to address something. What we want is for women to stand up and leave from the first act of domestic abuse, because that first act can lead into something more devastating as murder, which we've seen before. So we need to address that and take care of the young lady, but the young man has to face justice as well, has to be rehabilitated.
I agree 110%. I agree 110%. So this one, Stoneboy, the Ghanaian dancehall star. You've got some history with the
my brother.
Hey man, but he links up with Davido in Ghana and records a song in 24 hours. And also shoots a video. There's a video of a blogger who claimed to have been slapped by Stoneboy also. And Davido, etc. So for sharing the video of both of them recorded. So
what the story was initially was, like you said, I spoke to Stoneboy candidly about a week before now, and then he went to Ghana. When he touched down Ghana, Davido touched down Ghana at the same time. So both of them linked up in the studio that night and made a record, and within 24 hours they were out seen in Ghana shooting the video. Now the reason why we found out that the record was made was that there was somebody in that room who recorded about a 15-20 second video, which I shared, by the way, and went viral. Apparently the vlogger that you had seen a video of him claiming to have been slapped and assaulted by either of those guys because he shared the video was because he was the one that was recording that video. So the news was that he recorded that video and shared it on social media, and the thing went around. Now, the reason why Stoneboy David might have been disappointed with the video going out is because it contained the song that was just recorded and not released yet. And in Africa or anywhere in the world, music that's in creation process, you try to keep it away from other creatives as possible, because they can get inspired by it and beat you to the punch and put the music out. So people tend to protect those. That's why, if I'm in a recording room, I record videos, but I'll mute the sound. So all you see is the visuals and you don't hear what they're saying or what the beat sounds like. So I believe that, the attack on that vlogger allegedly was because he had been found out to be the one who shared the video. However, since his claims went public, nobody has come to deny or confirm if whatever he was saying was accurate or not. You could just see it on certain blogs in Ghana and stuff, but again, it's one of those stories I don't want to hear near people like Stoneboy and Davido, where people are alleging physical assault and physical abuse and stuff like that, because what happens with those stories getting on the net is whenever your name is typed on social media by media platforms and organizations that want to endorse you around the world, some of the first things that pop up is, that, which is, the violence here, this, that, and a fight here, and a fight there. Yeah. And that could cost you money. It could cost you partnerships, it could cost you endorsements, it could cost you relationships. Yeah. So, I really hope that the camps, they are well aware of that and they take that to heart, because even though in a moment you think like you're reacting based on anger and you're doing whatever you are, there are, at that level of superstardom, there are consequences to such instant, irrational reactions. Yeah. So, people within that camp need to make sure that they take care of them. Stone Boy, David, whoever is in that camp, it's your responsibility to ensure these guys are safe. Yeah. And that's all I'll say about that. But the song sounds dope, bro. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie.
Of course they ain't gonna disappoint.
David on the hook, Stone Boy on the verse. They've shot the video, and I really can't wait for the song to be released. Yeah. So that would be dope.
Like thick. All right, cool. So this one I need to take a little breather. Just because I'm honestly I don't even know where to go with this. NSARS. Yeah. So I don't. So okay, Nigeria. So the NSARS demonstration lead led in Lagos by Stars, Runtown and Falls.
Yep.
The bad guy after social media noise on police brutality in the country.
Absolutely.
I just wanna. My heart is heavy for this one, so I just wanna state that.
SARS in Nigeria is short for Special Anti-Robbery Squad. They were created by the government and police, I think the police institution, as a special unit to be dealing with the rise of robbery and kidnapping in Nigeria. But over the last decades, the members of this Special Anti-Robbery Squad have gone on to be, to take part in some of the activities that they were set up to fight against. And those are extortion, bribery, robbery, rape. We've seen every single allegation under the sun, including murder. Because of the powers that were given to this Special Anti-Robbery Squad, they usually use that power to stop anybody they believe looks like a criminal in their own eyes, which means you're a young man with piercings, plaited hair, and you've got a laptop. Straight away, that puts you in a criminal category and makes you a target for the SARS and the Special Anti-Robbery Squad people. A lot of the people that have been victims of SARS are musicians, entertainers, creatives, who naturally wouldn't dress like, anybody that's going to their office work or whatever. These are young creatives, musicians, artists, models, and stuff like that. Their outfits, they're young people. So what has now happened is that because of the way the SARS members have set their sights, they have set it solely to target the youth in Nigeria. Those that are fighting out of the norm, going out of the norm to create an industry and a career for themselves. Those that are not doing what you would necessarily think was a 9-to-5 job to create a career. These are musicians, writers, producers, these are models, these are creators, fashion designers, these are young men and women who now have become the targets for this Special Anti-Robbery Squad, including students at universities. The amount of murders that this criminal arm of the police force have committed has been alarming. And not only in recent years, I think the noise started. The Police Inspector General of Nigeria had said he banned SARS about 4 years ago, and he has ordered all police officers and commissioners to look into their activities and ensure the safety of young Nigerians. After that, the crimes continued. Then people started shouting against the police officers and how, crooked they were. Yeah. Then they decided to, they wanted to engage the youth. So they found some of the young entertainers, I believe Korede Bello and a couple of other guys and girls were part of this, who had been appointed ambassadors, youth ambassadors to the police, to try to engage them, to look at ways that they can deal with the young people better and not targeting them. Years down the line, murders, robberies, assaults, extortion, bribery, the list goes on. And after the success of Big Brother Nigeria, with the amount of noise that had been built on social media, the young people, men and women in Nigeria, decided to take that voice to fight certain injustices that they believed had been carrying on in Nigeria too long. And the top of the list was the Nigerian police force and the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. And social media went absolutely crazy with demanding a demonstration to make to make it clear that it was time to end this corrupt arm of the police. When that was announced, Naira Marley announced that he was going to be leading a demonstration, and then the Inspector General of Police tweeted at Naira Marley and told him not to, lead these young men and women down the streets, that he was ready to talk. And within hours, got on Instagram Live and spoke to Naira Marley and kind of talked him down to say, don't worry, we'll fix it, blah, 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 blah. When he did that, other artists such as Files and One Town decided that regardless of the conversation that was being held on social media, it was time to march and to make our voices heard. And they went ahead to lead a demonstration in Nigeria that went to, went to I think the police commissioner's office and, just went down the streets of Lagos, shouting and making it clear that it was time to end this corrupt arm. Since then, more awareness has been created. Other entertainers have joined forces. We've got celebrities around the world, such as Lil Baby, Cranium from Jamaica. We've seen Cardi B from the United States of America, Chance the Rapper, Old Man Ebro. The list goes on. John Boyega in the UK. I've taken to social media to say, if black lives don't matter at home, it will never matter abroad. And that's facts. If we're fighting against police brutality in the United Kingdom and the United States of America, yet the police back home in Africa, the most populous black nation in the world, Nigeria, sees no respect in the Nigerian youth and can decide to take their lives just like that, then there's no point in fighting abroad. One of the reasons I'm passionate about this EndSARS movement is I almost lost my life alongside my blood brother at the arms of crooked police officers in Ado-Ekiti, Nigeria. Almost lost my life. If my brother, who had been a student union activist and a Senate president of the Nigerian Students Association of Nigeria, was not present at that time, I would have been called a crook, rapist, murderer, shot cold blood. I was beaten black and blue. So is my brother. Now, this is somebody that works for the government. To show you how senseless these guys are. They didn't even take the time to find out why we were where we were, why we wanted to come and build. A young friend of mine who had traveled miles to come and help me take women from their hostels to a party I was having in town. They just were like, yo, that guy's a crook. Everybody else that's come to try to bail him is a crook too. And they just unleashed on us, tried to shoot me a couple of times. My brother pushed the gun away. We were there, both naked, in a state where my father had contested governorship and was a secretary of the association that founded the state. So for every young Nigerian that has a family member in government or minister or whatever that thinks that this cannot affect you, think again. It's coming to your door. And then you would understand that nobody is exempt, nobody is immune from the brutality of the Nigerian police force and the crooked arm of the police association. And until we fight to ensure that these people are taken out of the force, nobody is safe. I don't care if your father is the president, vice president, minister, governor, it will knock on your door. Mark my words. The same tears that the common Nigerian are shedding for the loss of life of their family members illegally and crookedly by these police officers, that same tears will be shed by members of the hierarchy in Nigeria. I'm talking government officials. I don't care if you're a governor, I don't care if you're a president, minister, your family member will suffer the same fate. And that's a fact, brother, because I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
But
that's why they need to make sure you make change happen.
But end SARS.
Yeah.
If you end that criminal outfit,
yeah.
there has to be something else to ensure that the men and women, some of the men and women that are doing a good job must be taken care of and have jobs. Because if you just delete that organization, guess what you do? You send to the streets of Nigeria a group of armed criminals, cooks, robbers, rapists, and kidnappers who now have been given a license to do it publicly. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, we want them to end SARS, but we also want reform for the police association. If you see some of the barracks that these police officers are living in, the squalor that they call home, some of them will have no choice but to go out on the streets of Lagos, Akure, anywhere in Nigeria to demand bribery because they treat them like dogs either way. You know, the presidents and governments are living in plush places, whereas the civil servants, the first responders, the Nigerian police officers and co are living in abject poverty. How can you expect a police officer who hasn't eaten or has the means to send his kids to school not be crooked? Like, it's crazy. And then the IG is talking and then they're criticizing, special advisor to the president is criticizing Wizkid and co on social media because she sits in Aso Rock that's far away from Lagos where some of the young men and women are being brutally murdered. She thinks that she's exempt from it. She will leave government and her kids will have to deal with these same crooked police officers. Yeah. Let's remind them.
Yeah.
So the fight continues. We will be at the Nigerian embassy. This podcast will come out before that, but we'll be at the Nigerian embassy shortly to go and let our voices be heard. And I've just got telephone calls from the BBC, Arise News, and CNN that they will be present at the demonstration at the Nigerian embassy on Sunday, the 11th, I think it is, the 11th at 12 p.m. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, keep up the good work, my people, man. Young people in Nigeria are the most dehumanized set of people in Nigeria. The young people in Nigeria are the most criminalized people. They call them criminals. They call them touts. They call them layabouts. They call them jobless, but they are the most educated people in Nigeria. They are responsible for the rebranding that Nigeria has undergone in the last 10 years. Without the creative industry, music, and movies that the young people are 90% a part of, Nigeria would not become a tourist hub that it has become every December. So ladies and gentlemen, please, rather than dehumanize these people, let's applaud the young people of Nigeria who have found a way in a society where the leaders have failed them completely. That's my summation, brother.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, that's such a heavy one. But yeah, to go off that, we're heading. We keep flying, taking.
We're taking flights. We're taking flights.
So we're back in the UK with the rapper Chip, who drops 2 diss records and videos against Stormzy, and social media just ate it all up, went crazy. Including footage of Stormzy also showing up at Chipmunk's house. Yeah. So that's a big vibe.
That's a big. I think the initial parts of the story was. Stormzy there was allegation that Chipmunk, I think it was on a record, maybe called Ways or something like that, that Stormzy felt like some bars were directed at him, and Stormzy came out of social media hiatus and popped up on Dutch Velle's record. I don't know. I don't know. You know, and he fired shots back, which people felt that those shots were directed at Chip. And I remember the day the record from Dutch Valley and Stormzy and Tion Wayne, I think it was, that came out on Twitter. Chip started trending, and my young brother went on Twitter and he was like, "Why am I trending? You know, like what's going on here?" And that was that. But when these 2 disc records dropped last week, it then became obvious with the other viral video that came out that during the summer, around June, Stormzy and a couple of his guys, allegedly in the visuals that we saw, had gone to Chip's house and tried to get in and pulled up in a Lamborghini, all blacked out in a Lamborghini truck and tried to get in. And I think the person that recorded the video was Chip's manager, who you could hear in the video saying you can't just pull up to people's houses, and especially because these are young black men who, if Chip was home and they had that face to face, anything could have happened. And then again, we're shouting the whole Black Lives Matter, whatever. What happens is 2 black strong influencers in the music industry do something that could jeopardize the whole game. It puts them as headline news. All of that stuff. But thank God Chip wasn't home. And apparently, according to what the manager said, was that they had to call the police, who had come to eventually escort Stormzy out of the property. That was what was alleged. And I'm thinking that if that was the case, like even the police officers could have put the footage out. And do you know how that would look in the public eye? Because Stormzy is a golden child. This is a man that has reached incredible heights because of his outspoken nature against injustice. Not only Black Lives Matter, but also police brutality, which he's been, a victim of when he was living in, I think it was West London at the time. The police officers came to break down his house because someone had said the black person was walking in and out of a property, which he owned. So he's been a public advocate for speaking against things that affect black people. But coming to this record, anybody that knows me knows this, that if my life depended on one battle rapper, if they said, here is the noose, if you get a battle rapper out here that can make, that can take on this all comers, and if he takes them on, you will not be harmed.
Save your life. To
save my life in the world, I'm talking Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, the UK, the United States of America. I'm picking Chip.
Wow.
10 days of the week.
Wow.
Oh, bro. And it's not because anybody else, including Stormzy, is not an amazing rapper. Like my top 5 rappers in the UK are Chip, Kano, Gets, Stormzy, Wiley. I've got Jeremy Skepta. You have these people in there, but I always pick Chip because Chip raps and speaks like he's got a chip on his shoulder. Do you understand what I mean?
What you did there?
Yeah, you see what I did? It's like he feels like he's got something to prove every time. He's one of the few rappers in the UK that have crossed generational lines. This brother's been in the game for over a decade. He broke on the scene as a teenager who had pop mainstream success. Went to the United States of America to try to tackle that on. But it didn't really work out the way he wanted, so he came back to the UK. In the process, some people tried to diss him. A couple of incredible rappers that I enjoy. But Chip stood tall and was fighting back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 man at the same time.
And gunned every single one of them.
Brother, not that many rappers is ready to spin a couple rappers at the same time. People like to focus on one. Chip is ready. Wherever your guns are drawn, we can go anywhere. And when I saw the 2 records drop on social media, I was like, oh, this brother, man. And he went crazy in that. Like
flowers?
Spazzed out. spazzed out.
That famous petrol station.
Oh my God, he was talking about look at the person that was singing Blinded by Grace and whatever, Lord, you need to sing. No, he needs to stop. And Chip is crazy. And I think, this is the culture of grime in the UK, which is, battle of supremacy, where people put their lyrics and their verses on the line just for credibility. Everybody, whether Stormzy has responded or not, everybody also knows that Stormzy ain't no pushover. He took on the Godfather in Wiley, months ago. And, he came out in flying colors. And if you know Wiley, that's not an easy battle to take on. So Chip wouldn't be a difficult battle for him, but it's just that Chip never runs out of bars. I'll leave it on that.
Hey man, look, so let's take it to this country. This country actually just celebrated their Independence Day, and that's the country in Uganda.
Yes.
And their star Eddie Kenzo posted a picture of him and his sister after being apart for a good 23 years.
Yeah, big shout outs to Eddie Kenzo, my brother. I saw the picture on social media. He posted a picture up and put a message underneath it that said, my sister, my mother's child that we haven't seen for 23 years. With us fighting in the streets and trying to get ourselves, they lost each other. And somehow they just found each other back. And ever since the first day he posted a picture of both of them together, he's gone on to post different pictures of them together, just celebrating the fact that he can reunite with his blood sister. I know Eddie is a very emotional person that cares about family a lot. And this would mean the world to him. Give him the energy. Last year, I think he went through a very, very bad separation. And that affected him a lot, and to have him have this blessing coming out of COVID-19 where he had been stuck in Ivory Coast for over 6 months. This, Lord knows how excited the entire family is. And every picture that you see on the social media, I think explains that. And that's what we want to see. Families unite and come back together. And just being around loved ones. 2020 makes this extremely important for us. And it's nice to see, man. Shout out Eddie Kenzo.
Shout out.
Sonko.
Alright, so Mama African Giant. So Burna Boy's mother poses with 2 bouquets of flowers, thanking Diddy and Wizkid separately for these beautiful flowers.
Listen, man, Mama Burna has become a personality herself. Not only is she a successful talent manager that we've seen with Burna Boy, but she's also a strong Pan-African, an activist. She's a teacher. She's extremely intelligent. She carries herself incredibly well.
So graceful.
She speaks so well.
So eloquent.
Plus, she speaks English and French. I think she speaks a couple of languages actually. It was no surprise to see the image of her receiving flowers from the likes of Wizkid and Diddy, who had executive produced the Burna Boy Twice as Tall album. And then, obviously, Wizkid, who we've seen a number of times with Burna Boy in the UK. They've been to the studio a couple of times. They've been to restaurants together. But Wizkid came to Burna's, Monsters video release. So they've been around each other for a while. So he would have extra reasons why he decided to ensure that Mama Burna got flowers. Because of maybe what he's seen, how she's handled them and just being around them and being that source of, that motherly figure. I don't care who you are, how big you are in the world, how successful you are in the world, a mother figure around you is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
And I think, the flowers to Mama Burna definitely, that explains that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out.
Definitely.
So,
we
got a couple albums.
So
we'd love to do some reviews. We got Olamide. Kwame Eugene. We got the Vibe.
Olamide Bado dropped his own album, I think Carpe Diem or something like that, with 12 records on the album a few days ago. I'll be honest with you. Yes, Olamide has been the king of the streets for years. Yeah. And when the likes of Zlatan and Naira Marley came in, they definitely went for the same market and audience that Olamide controlled for over a decade. And because Olamide had become extremely successful as well, some of his content might not be as gritty and grimy as it used to be because his life has changed. Yeah. But this album hit the mark and beyond. I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. Wow. From press play, I've enjoyed this album on a different level. I'm hearing the old Olamide that used to talk that talk. There's a record there where he's talking about the loss of his parents and how that threw him off, where he almost lost his mind. He tinted his hair from red to green or whatever. He was smoking weed all night, and I remember those times. We saw him as an audience member, seeing Olamide go through this transition. Unfortunately for us, we didn't know what internally the icon was going through. So being able to speak on this on the record is just an incredible feat, man. And I think he also does something in the last 12 months. I've said that the best rap album to come out of Africa has been The Black Love by Sarkodie because of what he did with bringing hook masters and singers on the album. I've got to say, I've got a second album to put up against Sarkodie's Black Love. Wow. And that is Olamide's brand new album, Carpe Diem. Wow. And the reason is he also showcased singers on that album and young talents, Fireboy, Omale, Bella Shumada, he put all of these guys on that album. Peruzzi's on there. So he gave us exactly what we wanted. He rapped on the side, he sang on the side. He sang on the side, he rapped on the side. He talked the talk, he touched everything, and that's what I believe has been missing from an Olamide project, and I'm so happy this brand new project hits that mark and is here. So go out and check that out. Olamide Baddo's brand new album is a classic, bro. Jeez, I ain't gonna lie. Like that. I'm not gonna lie. Like that. Amazing work. Shout outs to Olamide Baddo.
Alright, so on to the next project. We got
Kwame Eugene, son of Africa.
Yes.
A lot of pressure on him for a variety of reasons.
Tell me.
The artwork and the creative images around that album, very heavy.
Okay.
He titles it Son of Africa. He has images that look like he was coming to America, where he was like an African superstar that was very Pan-African. Now, the album that you're going to have to deliver has to have the content that matches the creative artwork and the title, Son of Africa. He had Open Gates was the lead single that had come out a couple of weeks or months ago, and then he dropped this body of work. In the last 1 year, again, one of the classic albums from young people was Fireboy's Laughter, Laughter, Tears, and Goosebumps.
Still one of my faves.
Classic album for a young man in the game. And that is very rare. The last young folk that dropped classic albums were the likes of Wizkid and kind of Davido and stuff like that. So Fireboy's LTG,
I put it up there.
It's definitely a classic.
Up there,
So Kwame Eugene, Son of Africa. Kwame Eugene is one of the bright singers from Ghana, high life artist that's bringing Afrobeats, Afropop, high life, and hip life into the 20th century. This album hits the mark and above. I'm not gonna lie to you. He did something that I love, which was, yes, he's making new Afropop, Afrobeats music, but he stayed true to his own authentic high life roots. So I can pop that album in, and my daughter can listen to it and she's cool. And if my mom's in the car, she's gonna catch a couple songs too. And that is one of the hardest things to do as a musician, to ensure that you capture the entire generations with a body of work. And I hope that they promote this album as much as possible, because this album deserves to be heard not only in Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Congo, Kenya, the UK, the United States of America, Germany. It has the sounds of Africa that we grew to love. The high life, the guitars, the drums. Plus he speaks in his language sometimes and he speaks in English sometimes. So very authentic, which a lot of young Afro pop stars have been doing recently, is staying away from the Afrobeat sound. But he went to it on a different level. So big shout outs for his bravery, his creativity. The album hits the mark, and hopefully the rest of the world can listen to it. Go check that out. Son of Africa, Kwame Eugene.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
That.
Love it. So, Dolapo.
The vibe. Dolapo, the vibe.
Tell me about this.
Dolapo, the vibe, based in the United States of America, found and discovered by the incredible Bankuli A&R specialist who's worked with superstars like the Band and been around other superstars as well in the game, like Kanye West was on the Beyonce Lion King album, collaborated with Beyonce on 2 or 3 records on there, as well as the intro. He found this amazing young talent who is in the US Army, by the way, in America. Dolapo is a good singer. She's a nice, creative person. She's also, I think she's very artistic with images, but she's been releasing singles that have done very well. Owo Remix with Peruzzi Owo, the original. You know, she's had a couple singles in the last 2 years who've done very well, but they decided to step it up with an EP this time. You know, I think it's the Unexpected EP, Dolapo the Vibe. For me, when I took time to listen to it, took me like 48 hours to listen to it. I was getting bombarded with messages, and I said, I want to listen to it well, because I want to be able to see, you know, if she really matches up to the talent that someone like a Bankuli says she has. And when I listened to the project, instantly I put a screenshot of one of the songs I was listening to and posted it on social media and told the rest of the world to go get that. Unexpected EP is a fantastic project. A young artist that's in the army at the moment, influenced by hip hop, R&B, pop, whatever, but decided to take her music and Afrobeats roots to some of the high life sounds we grew to know. I think that was a risk as well. And I'm just so happy that a lot of these young entertainers are deciding to buck the trend and take risks of going back to our original sounds. And Dolapo does that. The EP is fantastic and deserves to be heard. Go get that. Dolapo the vibe.
The risk paid off.
Absolutely. Right. Does that round it up for us this week?
No, we got one.
What's left?
Special one. You feel me? So let us hop in this private jet once again, and we're going all the way. We're going all the way. Wait. The pilot said the petrol. Okay, they're talking. Okay. Yo, South African rapper, aka announces his new album release date on the 6th of November.
AKA is one of the top 2 rappers in South Africa and one of the top 5 rappers on the continent. He's battled and back and forth with Casper Nyovest over the last couple of years, elevated South African hip hop to heights it's never been in the past. AKA has not only performed in the United Kingdom, I think he's performed in France, performed around Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, all of those places, having hit records like the one I mentioned with Burna Boy. Had a fantastic album in Touch My Blood, I think it was, a few years ago, which I just think is amazing. So people have been waiting for this album for a while. He had put the track listing up kind of like ship one way. He just put it stylishly a couple months ago, but nobody knew when the album was going to come up. So a few days ago he put a date up and just put the 6th of November 2020. That's the date for an AKA album. Remember, Casper dropped his album a couple of weeks ago. And the next person people will be looking at is AKA. I'm excited to hear what's in there. I see a record in there titled Mufasa. I hope he ain't speaking about Casper.
Look at you.
Exactly. When I saw that, like, Mufasa from AKA might be shots fired. But let's see what happens. So yeah, we're excited and I'm looking forward to the album. We'll definitely be reviewing it here on Adesope Live, the Afrobeats podcast, every single week. Get it on YouTube, Soundcloud, Apple, Spotify, all your usual podcast spaces. We're gonna be there. Make sure you subscribe to whatever it is that you're checking out, and you can share it with friends and family so they can hear, what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
Extremely important. Once again, big shout outs to Manny Ade, being the producer, making sure the sound and everything's perfect. LM Media and Afro Scene TV for the support. Until next time, from myself, Shopsy Do, and Manny Ade in the background,
Hey.
it's peace.
Big love.
And you're out.